We have a very unconventional relationship with our coach. Nicky Salt, the Queen of France. She shouts at us until we sing the right notes. Then we laugh until we weep. True, drink till we can't see. No comment. We love her so much we made her a lady. She's basically told us we have to bow in her presence now.
Coaches, quartets, the relationship between the two, then please use the comment feature on YouTube that you're watching now to put your questions in, and they'll send them through to me, and then we can answer those questions. We have some questions which have already been sent in. Très difficile. I say that because I am speaking currently from France. That's about all I can say, and I've that for weeks. Little known fact, Sophie can speak French. And so, so here comes the first question, which is directed to me. And the question is, what makes a coachable quartet? Okay, so this coachable is now smiling innocently like they are the most coachable thing ever. Basically any quartet is coachable, and I guess to what degree they're coachable depends on lots of things. Often it's the personality between the coach and the quartet. I do think it's a lot to do with how open they are to new ideas, and also the ability to take on what they can. I'm going to say this really carefully. The ability to take on whatever they can without being defensive of what they already know. And sometimes that's really hard for people to not want to be defensive of what they already have learned. So very protective of that. Because actually you can learn a lot from a coach, and if you don't like it, you can leave it. But actually when you're being coached, the easiest thing is to just accept and then take whatever you will from people. But some people find that a problem, and that makes coaching them quite difficult. Over to you, Fortuity. What would you say about that?
Yeah, I mean, I know, so when I'm being coached, I know how I come across to the coach might be completely different from what's going on in my head. So probably what happens sometimes is if a coach says something, and my initial thought would be like, oh, I don't know what they mean. I don't know if I agree with that. And then I'll be like, but they're very experienced, so I should, maybe ask what they mean, or if they could explain it in a different way. And then I might understand it better. And I guess the thing that I always try and remind myself when I can feel myself being defensive is that a coach is trying to help you be better. So any suggestions that they give you, it's not going to be a criticism. Even if it sounds like one, it's going to be something that they're giving you to help you be better. And I guess remembering that, as I often find, is helpful to let me not be defensive and get the most out of the coaching.
I think one of the things I wanted to add to that is that I know that I've previously suffered from when a coach, including you, Nicky, when you say something to me and I don't maybe understand it, but then I'll pretend I do, because I don't want everyone else to think that I don't know what is happening. But I've learnt that really doesn't work. So it's far better to say, no, I'm not getting it. Can you do it again? Tell me, listen to me more. Am I doing it yet? Am I doing it yet? And then you get more out of it that way, at least. And then hopefully the coach feels a bit more fulfilled because they know that they've got their point across.
Yeah. I think also being prepared to try things that are very much out of your comfort zone is really important. I mean, I have fought many things on many occasions. Mainly with
I know that.
Not at all.
But generally, even though I think I might know better, I don't. So just like actually just being prepared to try something that even if in your heart of hearts you don't believe is going to work, just try it because it probably will work. Yeah.
Good answer.
Just admitted that in front of
James, anything to add? Or are you happy with their answer?
I think
Yes, you have. Moving
I'm
on.
happy with their answers. I think one thing to note and it's flipping the question slightly, so from another perspective, but what makes a good coach for your quartet is that we've had various coaches over the years.
We do have that as a question later.
Pardon?
We're having that as another question, but that's good. I love the
Oh, no,
fact that
that's
you're
fine. We
preempting
can
that.
wait
Carry
till
on,
then.
James.
Oh, okay. And
no, I don't want to wait now.
I was going to say that we've had loads of coaches over the years, and and I've heard the same things said various different ways, and what the way you helped me with certain things, the way you explained something, it wasn't necessarily a new concept to me, but it just worked. The way you explained it made it make sense to me. And sometimes it's fine if a particular coach doesn't work for you. You may find that another coach will say exactly the same thing and it will just click with you. I'm done.
I have a point on that same question.
This
so we can
controversial. There are lots of controversial.
I'm going to go while you're stopped. Okay, so the other thing that makes a good coach, for us especially, because we don't always get things straight away, is a coach where you feel comfortable saying, I don't get that, can you try explain it in a different way? Or a coach that bears with you while you're resisting ideas and is perseveres basically, which Nicky does a lot with us.
Yeah, nice. This is the first of many controversial questions, let me tell you. So this question was sent in and it's for all of us. Okay, deep breath. How do you resolve differences of opinion between the coach and the quartet?
What differences of opinion?
You start.
We basically just do what you say, don't we? I mean, isn't that how it works?
I wish that.
Generally, I'll just act out what happens. Generally, what happens is we'll go, Nicky, we really love this. This is so fun. Can we please do this? And she goes, and then we go, okay, well, let's just put that on the back burner for a little bit. And then we'll sing the absolute poop out of it. And then she'll go, all right.
Yeah.
We generally convince you in the end. It's not. I don't think we've ever got to a point where we haven't resolved something.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that we always win either. We don't always win, but.
Yeah. But I think it's probably a question of we usually eventually win, just sometimes it takes a long time. And we have to prove that we can do something before it gets the Nicky stamp of approval, basically.
Well,
which obviously that basically
God, it's making me out to be such an ogre.
It's just that you want us to be the best version of ourselves that we can be, and ultimately we could choose to ignore that, but I think although you may not think that we respect you, we actually do. We wouldn't, we value your opinion on songs and musical choices and stuff so much that we just don't feel comfortable doing things if you don't think it's a good idea, because, you know, why would you tell us not to do something otherwise unless it was just not in our best interest?
Exactly.
Although she's quite good at using reverse psychology as well, isn't she? Do you remember when we were learning Yester, and then there was another song that we sang to her, and she was like, well, currently that one's better than Yester, and we were like, no. And we sang out of it, and then she was like, okay, there you go. She did that.
It got the seal of approval in the end.
Yeah.
I think
reverse psychology works every time.
I've noticed that
Sarah,
quite often you've got, or with us, Nicky, you have a real high level of patience and diplomacy, and we'll quite often, as we've all said already, we'll shout our ideas out, and you might not be with us straight away, but you find a way to allow us to settle with our own ideas and then bring in your ideas and sort of gradually bring us around to exactly what you wanted us to do in the first place. But it's your patience, I think, that makes that work really well.
Nicky, how did you describe?
That's very nice.
How did you describe organising our thoughts?
Organising you as a quartet?
No, organising our thoughts.
Is like
really. Go on.
It's like trying to herd drunk sheep. That is actually true, people. Anyway, my sensible answer to this question, which was, how do you resolve differences of opinion between the coach and the quartet? Just two things from my coach's perspective. One, it's about communication for me. We talk all of the time. I tell them how they feel. The communication thing for me, everything is out on the table. They know what I'm like. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. And I think it's really important. And the other thing to remember, this is very important. They're not going to quite believe I've said this. I have to know as a coach when to back off, and to remember always that as much as they know that I want the best for them, it's not my quartet, it's their quartet. I'm the coach, and I have to remember that. So there you go. I will never say that again. So just pretend I didn't just say that. Oh.
It's being recorded, Nicky. So.
Yeah, I just realised that it's being recorded. Charles, could we cut that bit, please? Question that's in. Here we go. This is to you, any of you. What does Nicky bring to Fortuity?
What? She's on the
Go.
Utter hilarity.
I think one thing, so we as a quartet, we have the luxury that we're really, really good friends, and so when we get together, we spend a lot of time just laughing and talking, and somebody will have an idea and we'll go, oh, that's great, and we'll spend loads of time. And I think what Nicky brings to us is she actually brings us together as a quartet. She forms the quartet out of the friends, and she focuses us. She makes sure we're doing what we need to do when we need to do it. So an example of that is when we actually got into the finals, when they announced our name and got us into the finals, and we were all celebrating, and I was throwing my child because I just didn't know what to do. And Nicky was like, right, girls, you've had your celebration. Come on, we need to go to the finals briefing. Sit down. You can celebrate in these chairs.
Speak like that.
You said, you can celebrate in these chairs, and I will take notes. And if Nicky genuinely hadn't taken those finals notes, I don't think we would have made it to the final stage.
I genuinely don't know what they said in that meeting. Couldn't tell you a single word they said. So yeah.
So for me, Nicky makes the quartet. She brings us together.
Oh, that's nice, Jem. Thanks.
You're welcome.
She genuinely is like our sort of fifth member. A friend when we need a friend, a coach when we need a coach. She helps us make the decisions that we can't actually make ourselves. And just, yeah, like Jem said, she just is there supporting us all the time and listening for us when we are just not able to.
I think she's also taught us how the four of us to have a more professional relationship. So we have a friendship, but when it's to do with quartet and when we are in quartet, we do have a different relationship. It is like quartet mates. And I think because Nicky is obviously our friend first and then our coach, she's made that split. We've seen her make that split, and it's helped us do the same thing. We get things done quicker.
Wowzers.
Sorry. One thing Nicky personally gave me was resonance.
Oh my word, what a year we had with that, the resonance.
Yeah.
The arrival of the resonance.
It wasn't just Gem either. Like, she just transformed our sound completely. And this, I guess, is part of the main, if we had to sum up, well, one aspect of what she brings to the quartet is that she brings, I don't know if it comes from the experience that you've had competing at such a high level, but you like, because you've traveled that path, you know how that path can apply to us. And so I feel like whilst we're just, focusing on the short term and like, what to do and over a space of months or whatever, I feel like in your head you have mapped out our whole journey of developing as a quartet. And when I reflect on the last few years we've had with you as our coach, I just think it's amazing how, you knew that what order we needed to work on things on in order to get where we wanted to be. And I know that you've got the rest of it mapped out in your head as well, which it blows my mind how effective it's been. So yeah.
Nice. Gosh, I'm going to get all emotional. Let's move on to another question. Okay. This is a question for all of us. And here's another controversial one, possibly. What is your vision for the future of the Nicky Fortuity relationship? Let's start with Varian Zimmer.
Well, I think, to be honest, I think Sophie's actually just touched on it a little bit, in that Nicky always knows what to do next. I don't know how she knows, because we generally don't know what to do day to day. So the fact that she knows what she's got planned for us and what our next step is incredible. She has so many layers to her. I think I can speak for the rest of the girls, and when I say that she will be with us till the end, like, she's not going anywhere, because not only from a family point of view, but also she has everything that we need. Like, she teaches us so much all the time, even life skills, but yeah, she's a babe. She's not going anywhere is the answer.
I mean, the ideal plan would be for us to all buy a big castle together and have a 5-way marriage.
Yeah.
Let's
that's not that's the ideal, that's the goal, isn't it? That's what we're aiming for.
That's the end goal, right?
So,
yeah.
I would be quite happy with that. From my perspective, I have always said to them, right from when I first started working with them, there will come a time when I may well say to you, you need somebody else in. Like, I'm not working for you now. It's not as good as it was, or there's something that you need that I can't give you. And I've always been very clear to them that if that happens and I really feel that that's the best thing for them, then that's what has to happen. And so if I continue to be a part of their journey until the end, that will be amazing. And if I don't, I'll be their biggest fan forever. End of. Emotion. Move on.
Oh, it's dead emotion. Why is it emotional?
Can we have a more technical question now, please?
Yeah.
Oh, we'll have a technical one. Okay, we've got one that's from the live stream from Emma Beeden. Hi, Emma. What was the moment that made you realise that HRH? It does make me laugh when generally people just call me HRH. It's a very weird thing. What was the moment that made you realise HRH was the right coach for your journey? That is the question from Emma. Go.
Oh.
I have a personal one.
Go on.
So the very first time we had coaching with Nicky was in 2017, when we were taking a year out from contest, and we just started working on a new song, what was then a new song, which is Next Time I Love. And we sat in a tiny little rehearsal room around a piano. It's weird to think about it now because it was definitely not socially distant in any way. And we just kind of, we started breaking down like the sort of musicality and the meaning of that song, and it all just it was like magic was happening in the room. And because it just, the way that she connected with the song and the way that she was communicating that to us just felt so right, and we were all so excited. At least that's what I remember of it. So yeah, I think from that point we knew that, yeah, we wanted to keep her forever.
It's like platonically falling in love, you know. That's basically what happened. It was like magic.
Nah.
It has been pretty magical, I have to say.
This is really good.
It's very emotional. Okay,
It is,
here's one to lift the mood. This is a question from our Hilary Pinnock, who is in fact in charge of the RMTS person. Her question is to me, Nicky, how do you manage the girls when they get really emotional? Well, there's a thing. How do I manage them when they get really emotional? Trust me, they do. And I think that's when it really helps that I know them all so well, and we've been together on this journey for such a long time, because they all do things in slightly different ways. And I think that's the thing, is not trying to make them all do the same thing at the same time, is kind of knowing what each one needs and being aware of when one is being slightly I mean, we've had rehearsal weekends where one or more than one is going through a bit of a hard time, and things have happened, well, when I've been having a bit of a hard time too, all of us in varying stages. And I guess the management of it is to look at the person, the people, the individual people are not just the quartet. And so that's how I manage their emotions, is to kind of know them and treat them all individually, I think. I hope that answers your question, Hill Pin. Okay, another question. Last year, Nicky was with you. No, they're all emotional. Last year, Nicky was with you in New Orleans. What difference did that make for you?
Well, we got some brilliant photos.
Yeah, we did.
Blackmail photos.
Let's stop talking about those photographs now, please. Thank you. Move on.
I guess she chilled us out, because she was like, I mean, I think if the four of us are on our own at international, we obsess over the schedule and where we need to be and what we need to do, whereas the semi-finals, I think we were on really, really close to the end of the contest. We had the entire day, and Nicky was like, you can't start the schedule yet because you'll burn out. Like, you need to chill out this morning and just potter around and do what you need to do. What was the question again?
It was,
what difference did it make having me in New Orleans?
The difference.
I mean,
she was just, she grounded us.
I remember saying at the time, can you please never not come with us again?
Yeah.
And the fact that Nicky was there when they read out who was in the finals, and we were like one of the last to be called, and we all just went mental. I cannot put a price on how important and amazing it felt to have Nicky there with us, because she is the reason that we were there.
Oh, stop it!
Yeah.
Oh dear me, this is terrible. Ooh. Okay, let's move on. Whoa. Okay, I'm being another question from the floor. Okay, this is from the live stream. What does a quartet need to do, prepare, pre-coaching, and what do we need to think we are? Oh, this is not written very well. And do we need to be at a certain level before coaching? Nicky, ask this one, please. So what does a quartet need to do or prepare for pre-coaching, and do we need to be at a certain level before coaching? From my perspective as a coach, the answer to that is initially, when you first go for coaching, just go. Don't think you need to be better and better and better in order to go, and then the coach will help you with what you need to do to get on to the next stage. So don't try and be too good before you go, because actually that's what the coach is going to do to you when you get there. So you know, obviously learn a few notes and a few words, that will be helpful, but really just go as soon as you can, and then get some tips to help you move on to the next part of your journey. Later on, when you're as good as these guys, then the thing to do before a session is to have done your homework. Did you hear what I said, Fortuity?
Yes,
To do your homework.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, initially when you first are in a quartet, you don't need to worry about anything. Just go and jump in and spend some time with the coach and help them, use them to help you move on to the next part of your journeys. But don't try and be too good before you have coaching. You don't have to be at a certain level. I hope that answers that question. Okay, next question. From Laura Jones. Yes.
I think it helps before you go to a new coach, try and be as open-minded as possible, rather than having a specific, we want this coach to work on this. And some coaches will ask you what you want to work on, but ultimately, how are they going to know what they need to work on before hearing you? Like, you might say, oh, we want to work on this, but then they might listen to you and say, well, this is what I think the priority is. And if you have a preconceived idea of what you want to work on, it's not necessarily going to match up with what the coach thinks. So I guess be open-minded as possible.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Just something super quick to add.
Yeah.
I struggled with that when we first started coaching, like back in the day. I think even when I was a bass, because I would always think that I would have to be perfect by the time I reached the coach, so that they could work on me at my best. And I always felt all this pressure. And if the coach would say, Gemma, you're not doing that right, I'd be like, I know I'm not doing that right. Oh. But the one thing to remember, I think, and to get the most out of your coaching as a quartet member, is to be vulnerable. Allow yourself to be vulnerable, and allow yourself to not be perfect. Yeah. Because actually, the other side of the coin, being a coach who's coming in to coach a quartet or a chorus, they feel so much pressure to deliver on their side. So don't feel afraid to be vulnerable in that situation, because the coach will be in exactly the same position.
Exactly. Thank you. Question from Laura Jones from the live stream. How have you worked through lockdown? And I guess this is to do, because this session is about the quartet coach relationship. So I guess us together have actually worked. This has made us work.
Yeah, absolutely.
This whole day has given us something to focus on, which I guess, I don't know, it's difficult to say what would have happened if we hadn't been doing this. But I know that before we started doing this, it's fair to say we were all, well, I know that I was feeling a little lost. Because it's difficult. It's really difficult to do anything that feels as worthwhile in this situation.
Yeah, it's definitely not the norm in this situation.
Yes, thank goodness for this day.
Yeah, totally.
But I have to say that even in this, I don't know whether we would have done this if we hadn't have had this. I think we probably would. We've still had, like, this is very normal for us to be doing this Zoom thing with 5 of us on there. That's what we do a lot of the time. So we've still done that through lockdown, which has been great. Okay, another question. A question to me. How has your experience as a performer influenced your coaching style and approach? I think that's really hard for me to say. Obviously it has. I have been really lucky, and I've had lots of amazing coaching. And equally, through my journey as a performer, I have learned what I like and what I don't like, what's helped me, what hasn't helped me. And as we touched on before, I've been on the same journey as these guys have been on. So I kind of almost anticipate things. And I guess that's where having done it helps. Yeah, I hope that my journey helps me to be empathetic to them and use my experience to help them, I guess is the answer to that. I hope. I'm not going to even allow them to disagree with that. So we'll move on to another question. Okay. Fortuity, question for you. What is the best thing, you could say, and the worst thing? It doesn't say that, the question, but I'm adding that in, about having the same coach all the time.
Sorry, Saz, you go.
No, I was thinking. That's what that was my thinking base.
I'd say from my perspective, the best thing is the accountability. So having the same coach who knows exactly what they know exactly what they coached you on before and what they asked from you, and then the next time they have you, they can haul you over hot coals if you haven't done it. So I think for us, the consistency and that's helped. The worst, I don't know what the worst is. Probably the same point is that you can't get away with it.
Yeah. I think the whole journey thing has been really good as well, because it really helps to have someone who essentially has a plan and can help you through that plan. Like, whereas if you have loads of different coaches, you're kind of, which we have done in the past, and you know, we still occasionally use different coaches. Don't close your ears, Nicky. But basically it means that it means that you can continue to progress on things, rather than having like changes in direction which aren't necessarily going to be helpful.
Yeah, I think it's really helpful that when you're working with someone that you've been working with for a while, it allows you to be more vulnerable. So you can go to those places where sometimes you might not be able to do that instantly with a new coach or someone that you only have intermittently. But with the sort of relationship that we've built with Nicky, we can be completely comfortable about who we are and what we want to do, and just let rip, really. And I think that helps us progress much more swiftly than we would if we were, chopping and changing all the time.
I think what we also probably should say at this point is that it is absolutely okay to not have what we have. I mean, we're talking about what we have, the relationship we have between us as a quartet and a coach, because it works for us and it's amazing. But it's okay not to have that. For some people, some quartets like to have the variety. They like to work in that way. They like to have lots of different people, or they're struggling to find their person. That's okay. Go try people. Have lots of different experiences with coaches. It's okay. It doesn't always work for people to have this. I think we acknowledge this is very special and we're very grateful for it, but it's okay not to have this. Yeah. I think we need to say.
I think it's also really important to mention that we had about 6 years friendship before anything. If we think back when we were first going to international, Finesse were our mentors. Like, you literally held our hand through the first couple of contests that we did. So we knew you from that aspect before we knew you as a coach. So we're obviously going to have a bit more of a bond because there's that history there as well.
Absolutely.
Just coming back to what
absolutely Nicky said. But it is okay not to have this, to find different ways.
Yeah, because also some people have some people have what Nicky brings already within their quartet to some extent. So, we are as a quartet, but some quartets will have one person or several people in their quartet who have a really, they're very experienced and they have a really clear goal of where they want to be, or, they just work in a slightly different way from how we do. So, and that's, you know, great as well. And then maybe, you know, you can be more sort of independent rather than a very much codependent relationship.
Yeah. Okay. Let's whiz through these last couple of questions because we have just over 5 minutes left. Okay. First question is to me, it's do you prefer performing or coaching and why? Okay. I knew that this would come as a question. I love performing and I love coaching. Sounds really boring, but that's actually true. It's actually, some people think that maybe it's easier to be the coach when the quartet is performing because you don't have to go through the whole going on stage thing. Let me tell you, people, it is far worse. And I think the worst year, it wasn't actually last year when I was in the audience, although I did have a lot of nerves. It was the year before, being at home when they were on stage. It was like, hey, Pepper. It was a nightmare. And it's like watching your children in a school play. It's a nightmare. But when, as a coach, even though you don't win medals, when a quartet that you're as close with as I am with them achieves their dreams, it's like the most magical thing ever, isn't it, Pepper? This is the Pepper Salt relationship. Yes, it is.
I'm muted this because she's making very strange noises. I'm so sorry.
We have 5 minutes left, people. 5 minutes left. Okay, we have one more question. Here we go. This is a question from Danielle Curtis. Hi, Danielle. As a coach, when do you get a sense that the quartet has promise and potential? That's a really difficult question. I think every quartet has potential. I guess it depends what they do with what they learn and how hard they work. So every quartet has potential, but just occasionally there's something that happens in a coaching session, which happened, I think Sophie touched on it, almost the first time we started working together. There's just like this magic that happens and you just think, yeah, this is going to be great. But as far as potential is concerned, I think every quartet has potential. And I think that's my other job as a coach, is to work at the level that I work at with these guys. But also I get, you know, so much out of working with quartets that actually are at the stage of their quartet life that just getting on a stage is their big achievement. And I love that, you know, to be part of the journey for people being able to have the confidence to get on the stage for the first time. So there's always potential, and it's different potential, and it's great for everybody to realise everything. Thank you for your question. Right, one more question. Are you ready? We have potentially 3 minutes for this question. Here we go. Question 2, Fortuity. Quick tips going round. What do you think other quartets should look for in a coach? Go.
Honesty.
Interesting. Yes. Like
Someone you're not afraid to be vulnerable with.
Absolutely.
Humor.
I wish
fun.
you found that though. I really wish for you that you've managed to find that in a coach.
Are you joking?
Moving on. So something intelligent from Sophie.
Yeah,
not that yours wasn't, Varian.
Yeah, whatever.
I agree with what all the others said. I'm trying to think of something that's different. I mean, I said it before, but perseverance. So like the willingness to be flexible and kind of stick with you if you don't get it the first time, or if, let's go with that. I don't know if that's clear, but yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think it's safe to say that there are lots of things that you should look for in a coach. But then my other thing is, don't just look for a coach. Like, it's worked for us in this lineup. It doesn't mean to say that in the next year or 2 years or 3 months, they might decide that they want to use somebody else as well. But what I'm saying is, it doesn't always have to be a coach. You can find different things from different coaches. So please try them. And remember, people, coaches are people too.
Coaches are for life, not just for Christmas.
Exactly, a coach is for life. Yeah, but try different people and find somebody who works for you. And depending on your personality, certain coaches will work or not work, because they'll either go with your personality or they won't. And you've got 4 personalities to try and get around. That's the other thing to remember, is that sometimes you have a coach who works really well for one of you, and that's a good thing, even if the others don't get so much for it. From the coach, if it works for one person in the quartet and it gives them a real boost, that's a great thing. You don't all have to love the coaches, because you can use them all for different reasons and different people. So go out there, find a coach, any coach, lots of coaches, and have fun with your coaching. Thank you for this live session for Fortuity International Top 10 Quartet.
Thank you.
Yeah. Varian's frozen. Sophie's frozen.
Oh.
Yeah, just slightly. No, either
They're
that
not
or you were
frozen birds.
bored rigid. And we're finished. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for giving your questions. Thank you for Fortuity, for your time, and have a nice lunch break. And we'll see you this afternoon.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Nicky.
Vicky.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you guys soon.
Thank you.
Bye.